Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Thanks so much for joining me again. And today we actually have a really great question um, about the curriculum at SGS. So the title of this video is You Won't Believe How Cutting Edge Our Curriculum Is. I'm really excited to actually talk to you guys about our curriculum because there's nothing else like it globally. There are a lot of awesome programs out there, and everybody needs to do their research and find the program that works best for them. But for our school, what we've tried to do is bring in the idea of the business of storytelling, because a lot of the people who are originally involved in developing the curriculum have gotten degrees in various forms of art. And the one thing that everybody says was missing in their education was, okay, I have this 4-year education in creative writing, in fine arts, and what do I do now? How do I open my own studio? How do I get a publisher? So what we've done at SGS is we have incorporated a business class into every one of the 8 semesters of our curriculum, which is super exciting. And even though it sounds a little bit scary sometimes, I think actually we have a lot of students who love the business classes. And I have seen them just find so much success in writing business plans and developing their author platforms. And I'm just really proud of them for the hard work that they do in incorporating the business side of their art. So what I wanted to talk to you about is sort of the overall layout of our curriculum. And the way that it works, first of all, is that our semesters are genre driven. And so you'll see like each semester has one specific flagship genre. So we have 8 semesters. We have mystery and crime, the Gothic, romance, fairy tales, science fiction and fantasy, seriality and transmedia, narrative complexity, and rule breakers and rebels. So students have between 5 to 6 courses each semester, and this is where from the very first year, students begin seriously working on their novels and also building their author platforms. So the 6 courses that each semester has, they're all driven by the flagship course, which is the seminar course. And the seminar course presents historical information and maybe social and cultural context for the semester's genre. So the history of science fiction and fantasy, for example, most of the seminar classes start at the inception of a genre and then move through the timeline that follows the trends and the subgenres within that main genre. So for science fiction and fantasy, for example, we have 10 classes within the seminar course, and each one of those 10 classes looks at a subgenre. So for example, we look at space opera and planetary romance, we look at the golden age of science fiction, epic fantasy, new wave science fiction, sword and sorcery, cyberpunk, and more. The second class is called genre. And in this class, students are asked to read primary texts within the genre. But further, they're studying the subgenre each week. So for science fiction and fantasy, one of the subgenres is planetary romance and space opera. So in the genre class, students read A World is Born by Lee Douglas Brackett and On the Arizona Hills, The Escape of the Dead, and My Advent on Mars from A Princess of Mars by Edgar Rice Burroughs. So what happens is, you're getting the historical, cultural, political, societal context, but you're also reading a primary text that represents that specific subgenre or time period. And then the third class is called Toolbox. And this class will sometimes directly relate to the seminar class, or it will expand upon students' writing skills and craft. For example, we have a class called The Perfect Sentence, in which students learn how to infuse their sentences with microtension. We have a toolbox class called Story Structure Architect. And in this class, students learn all the different ways to construct plots. Not just the 7 dramatic plot paradigms either. They look at, I don't know, about 30 different plot constructions and the various plot construction story paradigms for various genres. So the toolbox class is all focused on the craft of writing itself. In the 4th class, this one's called Practicum, and this is, I guess, what most people would consider a writer's workshop. So every student submits a text to be workshopped by their classmates and their instructor. Usually, I'd say students are expected to turn in 3 to 4 texts per semester, and they can be short stories, poems, chapters, or scenes. And as daunting as it sounds, we have really specific rules in this class, which are, which align with the way that in our philosophy on giving good feedback. In a previous video, I talked about how to give great feedback and provided a link to a worksheet and a template for that, which I'll provide again here. But in the practicum class, we're very much focused on not ripping each other apart. We're not trying to shred each other's work. Instead, the environment that we cultivate is very much about what is this author trying to write? Like, what does the author want to write? It's not about what we want to read and trying to influence the author to write what we want to read. Our job as readers and critics and feedback givers is to work hard at understanding what the author is trying to write and convey, and then give appropriate feedback based on that. So we go through a few things. First of all, we go around the room and we talk about what works in the text, and we have to give specific examples. And it's so important as a writer to know, like, is anything I'm writing any good? And it's so helpful to know, hey, the way that you write dialogue is fantastic. And if you know that your dialogue writing skills are fantastic, then you should keep doing it. Then the other part of the workshop is, okay, what didn't work? No one in the workshop is allowed to give feedback if they haven't read the text in its entirety. So you can give feedback on what doesn't work in the text, but you have to say specifically what isn't working. And then you have to explain why it isn't working. And then on top of it, you have to offer at least one suggestion on what a potential fix might be. So this is a constructive environment, and the goal is to encourage one another and inspire one another so that our texts can grow and flourish and be refined and become successful. The author of the text is not allowed to speak when their text is being workshopped. They're not allowed to talk because they're not allowed to explain anything. They're not allowed to defend anything. And it prevents them from, well, feeling like they have to defend anything, but it prevents everybody else from asking questions about things that aren't in the text that's presented. So the work that's presented has to stand on its own. Yeah, so that actually ends up being really fun, and it ends up being really constructive and nurturing. The 5th class is the business class. Modern authors have to establish their own author platform, and they have to learn how to be an artist entrepreneur. They have to learn how to build their own business, their brand, their website, their social media platforms. And we start that the first semester. After that, we learn how to earn passive income, how to write business plans, how to apply for grants and artist residencies. We learn how to query agents. We learn how to publish short stories or poetry. All of these things lead to, the crucial steps to becoming, a successful modern author. And to be honest, this is really fun. One of the business classes includes developing an interactive game within the semester genre that can be sold to the public or sold as a product. For example, a card game or a murder mystery or an escape room or a literary geocaching route. So really fun things like that. Like, we're teaching our students not just about how to get an agent or get a book published, but we're actually talking about how do you build your own literary empire. And that literary empire, the definition of that is unique to each one of our students. So it's about, what do our students think? How does each student define their own success as an author? And because we're such a small school, we are a small school on purpose so that the instructors can work with the students one-on-one and help them reach these goals. Our students get a lot of one-on-one time with our professors. Okay, and then our sixth class, we have literary criticism. And this is really important so that students can understand how to abstract literary criticism and analyze literature. So we focus on, first of all, the history of literary criticism. And this discusses the many different schools of literary thought. For example, we talk about Marxism, formalism, new historicism, feminism, and so forth. And then we have another literary criticism class that discusses contemporary literary criticism. And this covers various themes like love and ideology, the uncanny, eco and animals, character and voice, suspense and secrets, body and mutant, laughter and the tragic, desire and queer, pleasure and wounds, and more. Having context about the history of literary theory and thought and criticism, really helps students stand more firmly in the ongoing conversation and debate about the field in which they will eventually become experts. So these are the core classes that we teach. We work really hard to minimize busy work by establishing this flagship system in which the instructor of the seminar class decides on, the curriculum and the primary text to be read that semester. And then everything learned in the seminar infuses into the other classes. So if students are designing their websites, for example, they can post assignments on, summarizing the various subgenres, for example. If they're reading a primary text for homework, if they have to write a summary about that text, then they can take that summary and they can share it on their website and social media platforms. So the curriculum is coherent, and none of the other instructors, for example, will assign their own books. The other instructors will take the books that are talked about in the seminar and genre classes and use those as examples in their own courses, which is super exciting, and it's really fun. It's really efficient. And then everybody in all of their classes gets to talk about the same text. So we have some texts that we all have in common, and then we can bring in outside examples to build from there. So it really helps with the cohesion in the semester genre. So I'm going to provide this sample overview of the curriculum for you. I'll share that in the comment section below. I'll share the link for that. So if you want to take a look at that, you can. But you can also visit our website at southgateschool.dk, and go to the program page, and it explains all about the various kinds of classes and workshops and master classes that we offer at SGS. So that was a really quick overview, really fast, a lot of information there. If you have any questions, if you're interested in having, more information, feel free to write in the comments or send an email to info@southgateschool.dk. I'd be happy to personally respond to you and answer any questions that you have. Hope you find it as exciting as we do, and I guess I will see you for our next video. Thanks for joining me again, and I will talk to you soon. Keep writing. Bye.